Hey guys, how are you today? Good. We're gonna make a little interesting video today. We're not gonna do our normal Salah presser because I'll show you examples why it's difficult to do. I think the Jets behind the curtains are like saying, you know what? Why don't I just wait to play it for you? And you tell me what you think. So we're gonna do a little bit different here. We're definitely gonna dive headfirst into Quinnen Williams, who is now my favorite Jet of all time, ever. So we're going to dive into him, and then we're going to get some reaction, the reaction that we got from Jets Game Live, Post Game Live, whatever it is, which they have some interesting guys. Bart Scott, who, I don't know if you guys like Bart. I love Bart Scott. I think he's freaking great. I think he is freaking great. Every team should have like a Bart Scott, like on the sidelines. And when the game's over, he listens to all the press conferences. He listens to everything. And then he brings everybody together. He goes, okay, bullshit. I call bullshit, and just gets everybody pointed in the right direction. But they have Ledger Douzable, I think it was pronounced. Remember him? Old-time Jet, Willie Colon. Willie Colon was great. As the announcer here, he does a really, really good job. And Bart Scott, we'll get their reaction to Quinnen Williams. And then we're going to get a little bit of Michael Carter just as an example. And then we're going to get a really interesting little quote from Mr. Salah, who was questioned by Connor Hughes. Now, Connor Hughes is a reporter for The Athletic. And I have to be honest with you about Connor. Two things about Connor, and I'm sure he'll never see this. One is he is extremely intelligent. He's a very smart guy, He's very long with his answers, and you just got to just be patient and know that Connor is going to be Connor. But his answer, he's a very, very good reporter. And he attempts to ask Coach Salah about LaFleur and getting assistance for LaFleur. And Salah I got to be honest with you, I was really surprised how he played it, because you can't tell me you had no idea what Connor Hughes was talking about. But Connor Hughes, give him credit. He didn't start laughing. He didn't start smirking. He just was persistent, slowed down, repeated the question a second time, who he was talking about. And then a third time, a little more in-depth on what he was trying to ask, which was extremely easy the first time he asked it. So we're going to get a little answer there from Mr. Coach Salah there too. So we're going to dive into that first. One thing I'd like to bring up, and I've been really hesitant to do this, and right now it's not like I'm getting like 500-600 views, so I'm not going to be hurting anybody's feelings. But boy, oh boy, some of these guys that have been doing this, that get like a decent amount of views, the higher up guys that do the Jet games, I'm just not on their list, man. They just don't, I don't know what I did to tick these guys off, or I don't know. If you guys have any idea, be serious, no sarcasm. Tell me, send me a message. Not that I've reached out to them and asked them for anything. Just, hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Shocking, And I just hope, I really do hope, and for you guys watching me early, that one day as this builds up, and there's going to be people, let's say, that come and ask me questions, I hope I do it the right way. I really, really do. I hope I do it the right way. That's all I'm going to say. Everybody's busy. Everybody's working hard. Nobody has been nasty. Don't get that impression at all, But we're Jet fans, man. We're Jet fans. It's the Jets, Nobody here is going to hit the lottery and take home $1 million. Okay? Lighten up. So anyway, let's get rolling, huh? Okay, the first thing we do is we are with Janetta Jones. Did I get her name right? Janetta Jones. Oh my God, I can't believe I just blanked out on her name. We'll go with it now. I can always change it down the road. asks Quinnen Williams about his day. He had a good day. Sack and a half, one tackle for a loss, two other tackle. He had a good day. He had a good day and picked a really good day to do what he did. First of all, that's the first smart thing he did. You know, he didn't get shut out and decide to do what he did today. But she asked him a question. Simple. Hey, good day today.
And you were on both of them. Are you feeling like your old self again?
I don't really want to talk about the sacks, so we can talk about the negative.
All right. Well, let's talk about the negatives. What did you see?
That's what she said. She opened it up with. I didn't catch it early enough. I'm sorry. She opened it up basically saying, I don't want to talk about the negative. Let's talk about your day. You had a couple sacks, 1.5 sacks, and blah blah. And he goes, I don't really want to talk about the sacks. It's okay. We can talk about the negative. He was ready to roll. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. And then she says, okay, sounds good to me. Let's go.
From this team, what did you take out of it?
I just see like a lot of guys, the mental error is killing us every single week, man. And I'm a huge person to believe that watch the film and learn from your mistakes. And I think that's the big thing that as a team we got to do. We all got coaches, players, everybody got to learn from our mistakes and make sure that we harp on our mistakes and never make those mistakes again. Like I'm a big person that watch film and make sure if I made a mistake, I'm going to make sure 1,000% I never make that mistake again. I'm going to study so I won't make that mistake again. And I think as a team, myself, in general, we got to do that. We got to take that same approach. We can't hold our head down because it's a long season. Mm-hmm. We 0-3 right now, but we could be 3-3 very soon. So the main thing that we got to really focus on is learning from our mistakes. Like we can't have 8 people on the field and then 3 people just making mental errors because you're going to turn into an average defense. Like you see some plays out there that we make, we got a fumble, we got sacks and stuff like that, and all the 11 of us doing what we're supposed to do. And when we do that, we want the #1 defense in the country.
You got to love that. You got to love that. What do you want to wait till week 6 or week 7 before somebody comes out and says something like that? You got to love it. Because what he's hearing is he's hearing from they hear the coaches in their press conference and they hear them saying, we're going to get back to work. We're going to get it right. We're going to keep doing it till we get it right. We're going to keep doing it to get it right. And here's a kid basically that gets up and basically says, no, let's go. We know what's right. Let's go. We need 11 guys to do this, to get this right. No excuses. No excuses. Let's stop with the excuses. And, this guy comes from a program, an Alabama program that wasn't losing. Imagine he went through what he went through last year. He's going to get through it this year already after the first 3 games. And finally saying, no. You heard what he said? Well, no, I don't know if he said it yet about 3-3. But I give a kid like this so much credit, at that age, to come out and just say, you know what, bull. And yeah, it's risky because there might be a few people, coaches, that turn and just say, you know what, let's keep this stuff in house. And I'm a big believer of keeping a lot of stuff in house. And I'm also a big believer that at some point when it looks like there is so much shit covering the wall that you need somebody to scrape some of it off because there's no more room. There's no more room here. So she then goes on to say, what? There's mistakes out there?
Is that what you see?
Definitely, man, because everybody good in this league, man. Like, they get paid just like we get paid. They're professional just like we are professional, man. And if you make mistakes, you're going to beat yourself. And that person across from you wants you to make mistakes. Just like on defense, like we want them to make mistakes so we can get a sack. We want the receiver to run the wrong route so we can get a sack. Different stuff like that. So if we beat ourselves, we never going to win. So,
and if you've seen anything about this kid through the Jets program they did preseason and stuff, he's a fun-loving kid. This kid has got a bit of outrageousness about him. you know, with him and his wife and the pictures and the house. I mean, he's a fun-loving kid. He's a good kid. Because then she goes out to ask him about the offense. What can you do? And he gives the kind of answer that you expect a good kid to give. He's a good kid.
When you see your offense struggling as a defense, what can you guys do to kind of jumpstart it?
Just make plays, celebrate. Like every time, like the fourth down, they didn't get it. Zach and them came on the field. And I'm like, bro, we're going to get y'all the ball right back, bro. Throw an interception. As soon as they come on the field, we finna get y'all the ball right back. So having that belief and that faith in each other really like push us. Because we know we got a great quarterback. We know we got a great offense. We just got to all pull it together. And once we pull it together, it's going to get scary.
Good kid. I don't know why. I get just a vibe from, he's just a good kid. He's, I just love his answers. You know, they're so sincere, and he makes sure he's thoughtful. He makes sure he covers everything. You know, he's done all he's done, and then he ends it up by saying, we have a great offense. Our quarterback is great. And when it all comes together, we're going to be a great team. You know, he threw out what he threw out, and then he ends it with just being a really smart, thoughtful person, you know, and brings everybody into the fold and says, you know, I think you guys are great, by the way. You know, I may not be crazy about what's going on right now, but I think you guys are great. And then we move on to Willie Colon. Now, Willie Colon's point is a tough one. You know, this is asking a lot from a second-year player, third-year player in Quinnen Williams. When you start saying things like, okay, that was great, that's super, now you got to bring that into the locker room and be like that. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think if you're C.J. Mosley, you can do something like that. If you're Corey Davis, you can do something like that. If you're Marcus May, you can do something like that. There's a bunch of defensive linemen that can do things like that. I'm not saying he's not up for it, and I'm not saying he's too young for it. I just don't know that. I think it's really up to somebody else, that he laid, you know, he laid the egg, and somebody else needs to sit on it. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should be. You know, somebody else that had to agree with what he was saying needs to come out, and he needs support now. You know, if you're going to ask this kid to carry the ball right through the whole thing, that gets a little tricky. Because, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Quinnen Williams shows up next week. He's trying his ass off, and there's nothing to show for it. You know, you need more people, you know, that feel that way to now be the vocal guys at practice. You know, players that are playing solid good. Mosley, 10 tackles this week, right? You have guys out there that are playing solid football, veteran guys that are playing solid football. That can step up and take it. But you listen to him and you tell me what you think.
I love the energy and I like the level of accountability, but he has to take that energy, that moment, and say, come Monday and rally up the dogs and talk to them, because that's who's suiting up and playing for the New York Jets. And him being a first rounder, when you're a first rounder in this league, you're a difference maker. You're a cornerstone to that franchise. So I love the level of accountability. I love that he has a standard. He comes from Alabama. He's a hardworking guy. He's battled through some things. You know, I didn't know. Me and Bart said here, you know, this is the second time going on 3. So he's like, man, this can't be the NFL for me. So he's probably at a level of desperation, especially your defense out there fighting his tail off, trying to fight. You have a good game, and it's like, man, it's just not good enough for him being a young man and a defensive lineman for this team. This is the type of energy that has to last all week. So when you do face the Tennessee Titans, there is no pregame talk. It should be a quiet locker room, a bunch of hungry dogs biting at the face mask to go eat because you're tired of stinking. You're tired of the questions at the end of the game. You're tired of everybody laughing at you. At some point, enough has to be enough. So if this is his moment, he just has to make sure everybody in that locker room is on the same wavelength, at the same is operating at the same level. Because at the point, I wouldn't talk to anybody until we got a W. That would just be me.
So you see Mr. Cologne's point, and I understand it. It makes sense. I just think, you know, that took a lot of balls, excuse my language, to go out there and say something like that. and for a young kid especially. And now it's up to the veterans to step up and be those guys in the meeting rooms and stuff like that. And those are the guys that need to get up and start, carrying the ball from here on in, That kid introduced it, because if he's going to do it all, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I promise you, it will not work if you don't have other Jet veterans stepping up and doing it. There's no way what he did today will do any good 2-3 weeks down the road. Because eventually, believe it or not, on a sinking ship, you become the target. He'll become the target. We'll never hear about it. We'll never see it. And then all of a sudden, he'll be in a position where this kid will never open up his mouth again. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. I really do believe there'll be other Jets that step up. We may not even hear about it. But I will say this also. The missile has been fired. This is the beginning of rock bottom. Does that mean the Jets come around and beat the Titans next week? No. Does that mean the Jets don't get blown out by the Titans? Not necessarily. Rock bottom, sometimes you could linger there for a little bit. But it's the beginning of recovery when you have a guy come out and say this. It always is. So we'll see what happens there. Now Bart Scott jumps in, and I love Bart Scott because Bart Scott by the middle of it, watch the other guys. Watch Dozable and Willie Colon. They're ready to. It's like the head coach is talking. They're ready to go through a wall. You hear them all of a sudden going, yeah. They're just ready to just start knocking people over. But Bart Scott's point is very good also. He makes a really, really good point. So we'll wrap this up with Bart Scott.
Thanks.
All his teammates are going to be asked about what Quinnen Williams is talking about. Right? So that goes to Jared, who's going to say, hey, man, well, you're going to be asked these questions. You got to prepare for them. So now you have to be thoughtful and think about it. Then it goes to when we're watching film, like, hey, man, like,
what's
somebody got to stand up.
Yeah.
Somebody got to say, listen, it ain't about the coach. Because at the end of the day, when we out there, it's you and me that I got to communicate, like to Willie's point. The coaches can't help us once we get out here, man. If we not fix this by myself, I have to understand, you have to see what I see and see it from my perspective. We got to start singing out the same hymnal. It's like what most coaches say, which is football speak. We got to understand the situations. Situational football, understanding when we probably going to get a screen. Understanding what formation into the boundary means. Understanding what 4 one-way means to the backside linebacker, right? And also being able to understand how difficult it is if you don't get a reroute and you're lazy, or if you're the running back and you know what I mean? Yeah. Like those are things like, listen, this chip is important for me. Yeah. If I'm fan, I'm saying, hey, Von Miller is here. I need a real chip. I don't need you to push him. I don't need you to push him in.
And you know what? He makes another great point, too. It got broken up there. I apologize. But it was about the feeble attempt Ty Johnson makes at Von Miller to help out Font. They call him Fonts. Font. I don't know. To help him out. And they're like, don't give me lip service. Do it, man. If you're going to come over and help, and I'm presuming that's what you're going to do, buys me a couple seconds, do it. And you see a lot of that. And the problem is that the offensive line is struggling. And what have you given the offensive line? You've given the offensive line Ty Johnson, who is not known as a tremendous blocking back, and you give him a rookie who eventually both of these guys might end up being solid blockers in passing situations. But right now, they're young. They're young to go along with everything else. It's like a perfect storm. So, tough call. But you see the guys in the end, they're ready to jump out of their chairs for Bart Scott and just, go through a wall. Yeah, of course. The next thing, and we're going to wrap up real fast here, is a quick question to Michael Carter, and the question and the answer aren't even really that important. The important thing is just to hear how the Jets handled the press conference today of every single person, and they never fixed it. Remember I said the media, they've been doing this with the media. You can barely hear the media. Now you can hear the media. But there's something else that's a little tough to hear.
What was the main message you took from Coach Saleh today?
A lot, man. I'm not gonna lie, he's a great leader. And it comes down to...
Oh, shut it the heck off. That was ridiculous. Sorry, 1 second. I was going to let that roll for a little bit. But you see what I'm talking about? Is that crazy? I mean, is that crazy? Now you can hear the media guy sounds like he's like in your living room sitting next to you watching the game with you. And the Jet player, that's how, well, you'll see. I got one of the ones, I've got to play one Saleh answer for you. How can you get that wrong all day long? Oh, the theorists out there. It's intentional. It's intentional. They don't want the media to be able to play back and even understand what the Jet players or coaches were saying. I'm just kidding. But that's just crazy. That's just how long they had the media sound just like that for weeks, months, the whole entire preseason. Then all of a sudden everything got squared away, and then today that's exactly how the media sounded for almost 7-8 weeks. Now, the grand finale. Connor Hughes of The Athletic, who I mentioned before, I really, really like a lot. I think he's very intelligent. He likes to talk. And but still, I don't mind really. He doesn't, there's some people that really, really are like long-winded, and you're like, oh God, give me a gun. And then there's other people that are like, they're interesting. So, there's certain questions that they're answering that you'd rather than be faster with. And there's other ones that they're interesting. I think he's a very good reporter. I really, really do. He does a very good job at getting along. He's called by Saleh calls him by his first name, and he's known. And I forgot what paper he used to work for, but he went over to The Athletic, and The Athletic is pretty neat. Their setup is pretty neat. I'd love to work for them. And yeah, they do a really, really good job. And what Connor tries to do is he asks Saleh a very obvious question. With the struggle of the offense, have you thought about getting any help for Mike? And I think, does he call him Mike? Well, we're going to hear it now. Maybe that's the problem, because that gives Saleh the first opening to say, I'm sorry, I'm not following. What are you talking about? He goes, oh, Mike LaFleur. Connor Hughes goes. He goes, oh, okay. But what do you mean? What does your question mean? And then Connor very patiently starts all over again and throws out a beautifully laid out question. And then finally, Saleh answers the question. Whether you like the answer or not, oh, God.
You can do to try to help Mike out at all? Because it seems like he and the offense in general are struggling a little bit.
How long which way, Connor?
Mike LaFleur.
No, I know, I get that. Can you elaborate more on the question though? Just help him,
Yeah, is there anything? I mean, it seems like the offense obviously is in a rut. I know there's questionable at times play calling. Is there anything? I mean, he's a first-year play caller. He's never called plays in the NFL before. Is there anything that you can do to help him at all get this going?
Yeah, we talk every day. We talk about just the overall look of the offense. What are you trying to achieve there? What are you trying to achieve with a play-to-play basis? There's, obviously anytime a play doesn't work, it's a bad call. I mean, it is what it is. If some of those plays work, if we connect on some of those checkdowns, if we protect a little bit better, then everyone's celebrating the play calling. So it's, you go back, you don't want to make any rash decisions. You got to study the tape. We poured over it for the last 6 or 8 hours. And, if it's play calling, it's play calling. We're not afraid to admit that either. But at the same time, we're 3 games in. It's round 1 of a 15-round fight. So it's not like our faces are broken or anything. We just got to continue to work and try to find a way to get better.
Robert.
And you know what? He's right. It is very early in his career as head coach of the New York Jets. It's very, very early in his career as head coach of the New York Jets. No doubt about it. Everything's new. Everything's new. You know what the problem that I have with that is? I don't know where this just came from, but I'm going to roll with it. Have any of you out there, do you know of anybody or yourself, have you ever gone into business with a really good friend? Or let's say a very close family member. Okay? Where the frig is he going with this? That's what I compare what Salah's choice was. Imagine the last 2 years of Salah's career before he came here. He's hanging out with the San Francisco 49ers, right? He's all buddied up with the LaFleur family, you know? And he's seeing what Big LaFleur is doing. And he's talking to little Mikey. And little Mikey's saying all the right things. And, you know, and they're all talking about, like, you know, when we were kids, how we sit there with our friends and say, yeah, when we get older, yeah, we're gonna go, go here, go there, do this, do that. And then all of a sudden it presents yourself and you say, okay, these plans that were made, let's do them. And now you're in a situation, whether you like it or not, you're forced into the fact that you gotta keep the promise that you made. You're gonna bring these guys along with you. I'll save that for the end. So now the guys come along with you. And the problem is, one of the guys that came along with you, who's probably the most important guy and probably your bestest buddy, is struggling. And you look back on it now, and not only maybe wasn't the greatest choice in the world, considering you had the second overall pick was a quarterback, and looking into the history of the Jets the last few years, knowing that you're about to trade your first thing when you take this job, one of the first things you're going to do is trade that quarterback that was a high pick that didn't work out because he wasn't giving the tools. I mean, the list goes on how this had to be a really good decision you made, right? And now you get here and now everything happens. And now what do? So my point is, he's in a tough spot. And I know we're not supposed to have sympathy for that spot. We're not. You know, we're Jet fans. You should have known what you were getting into before you got here. Yada, 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 right? And that's true. That's true. Now, the reason I hesitated about a minute ago and said I'll save that for the end, I'm happy I remembered, is, listen, LaFleur may end up still being an excellent offensive coordinator. He may end up being that. All of a sudden, week 4, week 6, week 7, week 8, something's going to click. And he's going to find a comfort level. And the quarterback at the same time is going to find his comfort level. And all these receivers, Mim's going to learn how to run a route from the slot. Oh, right? And all the things are going to fall into place. It's very possible. It's very possible. I am not a negative Jet fan. It's just that so much of this looks so damn familiar. You know what I mean? So it's possible that it all could work out. And I'm really hoping it does. But that window is closing. The window is closing. If this year continues like this the whole entire year, just with just a sputtering offense that has maybe 2 decent games, and the rest, maybe 5 or 6 below average and a couple real putrid ones like this past week, how do you justify bringing the guy back, even if he's your bestest buddy ever? How do you justify it? A guy, oh God, I forgot the guy's name. A guy left a really good comment in one of my last videos, talking about LaFleur and how he wasn't given that. Greg Knapp who died a tragic, tragic death, was introduced to Zach. Zach got to know this guy. And we're told he was replaced by Kavanaugh. And my question to the guy who was made a great comment on one of my videos was, have we seen Kavanaugh? At some point, they're going to find their sea legs. They're going to get their crap together. And whether or not they have the football ability to turn the ship around is one thing. They're going to they're going to find their footing. They will. Everybody finds their footing in life. You know, if you're going down the crapper and you're making a ton of mistakes, at some point you look in the mirror and you say, oh, that was wrong. This is right. Some people are able to do that and go do the right thing. Some people know that and don't. I know both of those guys. So the Jets will be put in that situation. Those guys will be put in that situation. And I hope it works out for them. I really, really do. I really, really do. You know, we can't forget, yes, we have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks next year. No doubt about it. 2 fourth-round picks. That can fix a lot of problems. That can fix your linebacker and your cornerback situation for 10 years. For 10 years. Seriously, it could. 4 top picks like that can fix your linebacker and your cornerback situation for the next decade. That's how many good picks that is. So the Jets are in good shape. These guys have one job this year. Make this watchable and try to keep the confidence level up in your quarterback. Do whatever it takes. If that means having, I'm trying to think of a bunch of elderly, wise people. I was going to say the Supreme Court, but that wouldn't work. If that means having 6 or 7 elderly, wise ex-NFL players sitting on the bench there, just able to, he's just waving to them, hey, what's up? Just knowing they're there, then give that to the kid, whatever he needs to feel comfortable. And I'm really, the future should look really fantastic. It really should. But they've got to do something with little Mikey. They've got to help little Mikey out somehow. Don't even tell us about it. Just help him. We don't even want to know. And don't ruin this kid, damn it. Don't ruin this kid. I'm not buying it's this kid. I'm not buying it for a second. Not for a second. So do the right thing, Jets. Guys, have a great week. We'll come up with some more stuff this week. Really appreciate you being here. I do.